of the people that they serve. So, and I would hold that same expectation to every elected official. So I think it's there's a complexity to that I'll be honest, I don't quite understand as far as the closing of schools. I haven't researched it. I don't know what they got.
It was in the efficiency study.
Okay.
That was proposed to save $800 per school.
It's a new Bible for Bedford County schools is the
The
efficiency
efficiency
study.
Yes.
study, which they're following.
We've heard about it.
But I mean, it's either 1.6 or Mr. Downey says it's 2 million.
Yeah.
Either way, that's a significant influx of money already in their purview to do.
Not supposed to do by sitting behind me. I think that's a great question.
Well, I can assure you, Mr. Honeycutt, this Board of Supervisors has absolutely no plans to cut the funding for Bedford County Public Schools. So that is going to free up because they have done that for this coming fiscal year. According to the efficiency study, that's $1.6 million that's going to be available. If Mr. Downey is correct, $2 million, whichever the case might be. And this gets back to the very first slide, the very first bullet that I questioned you on. And that is, in the end, we, the 7, do not get to choose how the money is prioritized. And so there are various things that there's always going to be needs, and I can guarantee you from here to eternity, there's always going to be more needs than there are monies. That is true in every budget.
It's a third grade SOL. I agree with you.
But my question is, if you ask them to prioritize teacher pay, put that at the top of the list, rather than some of the other things, because those other needs are always going to be there. But if we can capture that money into teacher pay, then all of a sudden, many of these issues are resolved.
I'm curious. You seem to have something in the back of your head as far as what could be cut. I mean, do you have I'm happy to.
Well, no, I'm not talking about
the
anything
school board
being cut. I'm saying that's $1.6 million.
It's a lot of money.
And money that is available in their budget due to the closing of 2 schools. So you're asking what could be cut? It's the closing of 2 schools that's being cut.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's being cut. So there's $1.6 million that's now available. How is that money going to be prioritized? We have no say-so in how that money will be prioritized.
Right.
None whatsoever.
I understand that.
But that is $1.6 million in real dollars according to the efficiency study. So either the efficiency study is garbage, but it was.
I hope not as much as we could.
Certainly, but clearly the school board has acted in good faith, I believe, in what they were told by this efficiency study. And in doing so, they should be able to put that $1.6 million to work in some other fashion. That's the whole thing that the efficiency study talked about, is where that money could be used elsewhere. And all I'm asking you is to ask for that money to be prioritized in teacher pay, because we can't do that. We don't have the ability to put $1.6 million to work for the teachers. But if you have 1,600 teachers, and I don't know the number of teachers, but if there were 1,600 teachers and there's $1.6 million, that's $1,000 per teacher, right off the bat.
Swinging at numbers here, but I heard roughly, this was from a school board member, that a 1% across the board raise for all the school employees costs the county about $700,000. Does that sound about right? I mean,
No.
so I mean, you're looking at
State pays some.
roughly, yeah, roughly about within that. I
But
think
that's
that,
all employees. See, I know my frustration. There's some employees, especially you get raised, you go to central office, you get $15,000 increase or whatever you get. I mean, those people have already gotten pretty significant increases. Right?
and you're not going to get a disagreement with that
I would like to see the raises go to the teachers and the support staff.
Amen.
To people who don't make as much money. And if whatever those numbers are, you don't have to give it. I mean, we had Sheriff Brown come to us back in January. He said he wanted raises for his deputies, but he didn't want it for for the administration or himself. You know, I mean, that's what his request was. And I'm saying I'd like to see the money go to the people in the front lines teaching the kids, whether it be you in your support role or the teachers or whoever. It doesn't have to go to, you know, because 3% on Dr. Shook's salary, well, gosh, that's like 5 or 6 teachers,
Right.
right? I mean,
When I refer to the educational side, I'm talking about the people that are locked into the pay scales. So that would be, the highest of that would probably be like your reading specialist down through your aides and custodians.
Madam Chair, Mr. Sharp, are you finished?
yeah.
Well, I just want to, I'm going to ask that we adjourn here real quickly, but I want to thank you all for coming here tonight, every one of you. And since I am the longest serving member, I want to say something. In years past, we had the luxury of having new dollars. And we've always had this, it's not a policy, but we've always, as an agreement, we've given the school board half of those new dollars annually. A few years back, Chad, we had $3 million, the last time I can remember, prior to the recession. 1.5 million was given to you. Remember, we fund by category. We do not have any line-item authority whatsoever. We requested that the school board use that for teacher pay increases. A year later, I went back and asked what happened to the money. 22 positions were hired. The rest was spent. There were no pay increases for the teachers. So I do want you to understand in what limited authority we have. Nothing more than up or down a budget. We have made those requests in the past, and I think the board has served Bedford County well, and I will defend this board strongly because we do have the other side of the employees working for the county that we have needs, and yet we have a tax base that's very challenged also. So it's not as easy as it sounds. It's a very difficult task, and I do believe that a very noble effort is made. It's done. A very good job is done each year, and I do thank you. I really do thank you for being here tonight.
If I may respond,
yes, you
just
certainly
briefly.
may.
And I know it's an unpopular notion, and I know you just referenced the challenged tax base. But in lack of if we find ourselves in a situation where the school board can't meet all those needs, it is within the power of this body to increase taxes and to find that money and allocate it specifically for schools. And I understand that that is not a popular opinion. I would love to fill this room full of PTA parents that would say, hey, go ahead and raise my taxes X amount and fund the schools the way they need to be funded. I would just ask that you consider that power. And my understanding of the way local governments, and I'll admit, I like most Americans, I think, are fairly uneducated when it comes to the impact of local government. Until beginning this process and getting involved in this presentation, I really didn't think about it. But it does, I've learned that it impacts me more than what happens in DC or what happens in Richmond, certainly. So I do think that there is a responsibility when it comes to education. It's always been there since the Scandinavian practice of giving teachers a meal. The priority and responsibility of a local community to properly compensate and fund education. So I would just leave you with the consideration that there are means at your disposal to increase the monies that are available. And in doing that, my understanding is that you could say where those monies have to go. I could be wrong about that. We don't need to discuss it. I'll go look it up tonight. But I would like to thank you for your time and the back and forth of the conversation, and hope that you just kind of put this into your minds, because it is a large concern in our county. And again, thank you very much.
Mr. Honeycutt, we appreciate it. And I'm going to give you a copy of what I was referencing.
Can I? Just like a.
Just hold on, I gotta go make it. But if anyone has anything else,
I make a motion to adjourn. We have a meeting in 10 minutes.